The volume of transactions in August was 11,691. Is now a time to cash out?
I think people are terrified of being left behind.
Yep, 100%. People who bought 3-4 years ago now sitting on quite a lot of equity in the property because of the way the market's gone. Dubai's, like we've said millions of times, an attractive place to so many people for so many reasons. The way the population's increasing, we saw 80,000 think it increased since the start of the year. I think we have to keep building to cater for the increase of demand that's already in the market. We've talked about undersupply for 2 years now.
What Jumeirah Gulf Estates flame tree went for, I've never seen anything like it.
I'm just going to jump in there to do a bit of shameless advertising. If anyone does want to see what the flame tree went for, check out Data Hub on our website. Welcome to this week's episode of Taking Care of Business. You're with myself and Mark today. Hello. How you doing?
How are you, mate? You okay?
Good. We've not been on for a little while together. How's your summer?
Yeah, it was good. It was just nice to be back. I think like everyone else, it's just nice to get back in it. Listen, we haven't gone far, but we've been away for a long time, but it's just nice to get everyone back into a routine.
Yeah, the same as 10 billion other people in Dubai at the moment.
Do you know, we were just talking then, weren't we, about it? It was it's great. Obviously it's great because when people are back, we get it's great for any walks of life and any business, but it's typically at the moment it seems like it's never been before. I know I was speaking before about, you always say the weather is hotter than last year when it never is, it's the same. But I think this year, it's definitely upped its game in terms of traffic and things like that. It's just absolutely chaos, especially with the school runs as well.
It's very true. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of September, but we're actually going to do an August data review today, which is good because it's given us 2 or 3 weeks to digest the information and see what the data's telling us. So let me kick off by chucking a couple of stats at you. From the Dubai Land Department, so the property market in general, the volume of transactions in August was 11,691, which is a 5.6% increase on July and a 21.2% increase on August last year, so year on year. Compare that to Allsopp and Allsopp. Our volume of transactions was actually down 16.3% year on year, but with the caveat of a 12.5% increase August on August. So year-on-year growth, but a month-on-month drop. So to put you on the spot, why do you think our transaction levels have dropped, whereas the DLDs and the markets appear to have gone up?
Well, let's talk about ours first. And obviously the brunt of our sales are resales. And we were talking before about what obviously everyone who's listening here, this is a 2 or 3 month period of when a deal has been done, because we're talking about transactions. So again, the majority of our sales will have some type of element of finance involved. And it will usually take anything from 6 to 12 weeks for a deal to what we call complete. So these will be deals, Paul, that have happened or been what we call written in, let's say, June or July. So we're playing catch up 2 or 3 months later, hence the reason why I see a decrease. Obviously the limited hours in terms of, well, not limited hours, that's the wrong thing to say, but people traveling, so they're not available. Buyers and sellers will be, again, usually what have you got? You've got 3 or 4 people involved in a case at one time. And logistically, it can be a nightmare, especially in the summer. So that's why I think I wouldn't read too much into it in terms of a decrease in our figures, because again, it's just because people, I think, and it's seasonal and people are away. In terms of the Dubai Land Department, I believe, I don't know whether you've seen yesterday, the launches that happened. You had Palm Jebel Ali, you had the development that Ellington are doing in RAC, you had one in JVC called 10 Oxford, and I think you had another one as well. And there's one today in DIFC, which was it was chaos. And I think that's what you're seeing, a lot of launches at the moment. It's a good thing or a bad thing, we can touch on that later. But I think that's why you will see the land department, the transactions higher than what they were in the previous month, and obviously year on year. That's the reason why I think we've seen a bit of a hike in there. So
it does link in to chuck some more stats out there. The volume of off-plan transactions in August in the market was 6,834. Secondary was 4,857, and they're usually a little bit closer together, more neck and neck. So that does tie in quite well.
What do you think about that? What do you think about these launches that are happening in terms of, are you happy with them? Do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing? What are your thoughts?
I think it's essential.
Okay.
The way the population's increasing, we saw 80,000, I think it increased since the start of the year. Visa registrations, 56, I think these stats might be wrong. Remembering off the top of my head, 56% increase first half of this year compared to last year. Yeah. Dubai's, like we've said millions of times, an attractive place to so many people for so many reasons. I think we have to keep building to cater for the increase of demand that's already in the market. We've talked about undersupply for 2 years now, but that's going to come to the market, the demand that's going to come to the market over the next few years. But touching on what you said a moment ago about chaos, I've seen some videos of these launches. It's like, I don't know, I'm always hesitant to compare, but it does feel like Dubai used to be. These places are absolutely, you can't move.
I remember we had a launch in, it was 2000, I think it was 2012, and the Address Boulevard, it might have been 2011, the Address Boulevard, and it just takes me back exactly the same. I think a few weeks later after that, they launched Mira and Mira Oasis, and it was exactly the same. But I'm just excited about the appetite. That's what I'm excited about. And these launches, and no, listen, there's always going to be a spin, and there's always going to be, they're going to drip feed these units, obviously the amount of units into the market, but tokens that are getting given out again. Before I came out here, there's a launch that's happening in the DIFC, and they were handing tokens out, and one of the girls had 3 tokens, and we never got near any of the units just because of the demand. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because we look, the client that we took down there is not too happy at the moment, but the appetite is just, it's incredible.
And the other thing I'd say about these developments is developers are really onto the lifestyle aspect at the moment. They're superb. Some of these master communities and the towers and the amenities and the retail and cinemas and everything else they're putting on, they're superb. It's no longer maybe what it was 10 years ago, where it's just, here's a plan and here's next number of villas, etc., etc. They're really thinking about the lives people are going to lead.
And I know we're going off topic here, but if you look at the master plan for the IFC 2.0, I don't know if you've seen it. It's 3 times as big as the IFC as we are today. And the brands, I know there's a lot of hype over brands, but the brands that are coming in, it's top end brands that are coming in. You've got 4 Seasons that are coming in there. I know Nick Candy is doing a development in there, which is going to be exceptional, I think. It is, again, I know I've said it, but it's very, very exciting what's coming in. And a lifestyle, like you said, you look at the Ras Al Khaimah development by Ellington, it's like a resort that you go to in the States or even on the Palm, And obviously they're building out to the other Emirates as well, which is brilliant.
DIFC is significant for me because it's really cementing Dubai's desire to be the financial hub of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
Arguably it's already there, if not very, very close to, but I think
it is there.
With this increase in size, then
I remember
it's going to be
2003, I think Sheikh Mohammed launched DIFC, and I think at the time there was only, I think, I might be wrong here because I've seen the figures a couple of days back, there might have been 7 offices, and then it's grown from what it is today. It's just grown exponentially, It's for me, probably the best part of Dubai, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get back to some data. So one that we always like to look at month on month is as well as the top level numbers, what activity is happening from our point of view in the market, because that's usually a good indicator of what's to come. So viewing levels were down 5% in August compared to July, up 9.2% year on year. Clients registration, so buyers coming to us and saying they want to buy a property. This will move on to lettings shortly. Client registrations up 3% month on month. Up 69% year on year. So these phenomenal year on year increase in demand we're still seeing. That's consistent. New property listings up 14% month on month and up 20% year on year. So again, we are slowly starting to see a bit more supply come to the market.
I think people, Paul, are terrified of being left behind. I really do. And I feel so sorry at the moment for a tenant who's trying to get on the property ladder, because and we try and educate all of our buyers that we want them obviously to purchase as quickly as possible. But I just think, again, what does my opinion count for? But I just see that only getting further away, and it just shows in a number of viewings that we are doing. Yes, we've got more agents. Of course, we're going to have more viewings, but we are seeing a massive drive in people wanting to get onto that ladder. And you look at, I know we're going to touch on mortgages being a massive let's say a lot of noise about the interest rates. We done a report, not a report, but we done a case study the other day of, I think it was about, let's say 3 or 4 years ago when the rate was, I think it was touching 2.99 against what you can get today in the market. There was 3 banks that we chose, and the difference in I think it was a 3 million dirham purchase was only about, I think it was 1,000 or 1,500 dirhams. Now, in the grand scheme of things, the way the market is performing, that's buttons. It is absolutely buttons, but there's been obviously a big hoo-ha about the interest rates increasing. But even that, it still makes sense for these guys to get on the ladder.
So that's one end of the market. Another end of the market that I'm increasingly having conversations with people about, whether it's in work or even at the weekend when I was round at some friends' houses, is people who bought 3-4 years ago now sitting on quite a lot of equity in the property because of the way the market's gone. So there's an increasing conversation with people about what to do. Is now the time to sell? Are we close to the top of the market? Is it going to fall away? Should they sell, buy a smaller house and an investment property? Should they sell, buy a smaller house here, an investment property overseas? Like there's a lot more conjecture around that end of the market as well. So within all of that, a question to throw at you is, do you think we are reaching a top of the market, or do you think there's a way to go yet? So all these people asking the questions can...
Well, you look, in some cases, onto your first point, in some cases, some of these developments and some of these homes have increased by 300%, which is just, it's incredible. But I will go back and I'll go on, I think I went on record on one of these podcasts. For me, it's still undervalued, Paul.
It's undervalued. Yeah, I agree with that.
It's still undervalued. But
in terms of, so someone sat at home thinking, okay, well, the last 3 or 4 years, the property, our house price has gone up by 300%.
Yep.
Is now a time to cash out?
Are you talking about homes, or are you talking about investment properties? What
homes. People like me and you sat at home with the partner, the kids. They've got this family home that they've made, but all of a sudden the price has rocketed to a point where they're thinking, although it's our family home, should we cash in, get something smaller, make an investment, etc., etc. So, and the question that I'm being asked quite a lot is, should we sell now? Should we wait for a bit longer? What do you think the market's going to do?
I think your home's so different. You look at, obviously, someone who we know very, very well, and they've been offered a very, very handsome price on their property, but it's all relative. It is, in my opinion, as a homeowner, it's all relative. Let's say I sell my house today. I then have to make that jump to, I don't know, whatever the cost of the property is or what I like. Then I've got to go through the whole rigmarole of, which, by the way, is an absolute nightmare, renovating the property. So obviously there's costings there. The costings of renovation has gone through the roof. So in terms of homes, I always sit on the fence, and I always think it is all relative, in my opinion. If it's an investment property, it's a different story. You know, there's, like you say, some of these launches that these developers are bringing to market. You know, you're not using all your cash, and you can make your money work for you a lot more over a payment plan period. And again, in some cases, some of these off-plan developments, people are doubling the money. And when you say doubling the money, not on the original price, on what people are actually putting into the property. So homes, in terms of homes, I'm probably a little bit of a traditionalist. I don't want to go through the headache of selling my property, trying to find a property that's vacant. That's obviously another thing. You know, a lot of people at the moment, people that we know, are selling their properties, buying a property. 9 times out of 10, it's rented. So they have to spend money on a rent and take it out for a year. So all of these things you've got to take into consideration.
I do agree. It has to be a careful consideration weighing up everything. The only thing I would say to anyone thinking about it is, nobody can tell you what the property market's going to do. There's anyone who tries, they're just guessing, to be honest. What I'd liken it to is stocks and shares, or even gaming, that if you've got an amount on the table that you're happy with, don't get too greedy, because the market, I don't think it will. We look at all the demand, the activity levels, what's going on in the world, etc., etc. I think there's still a way to go in the market at the moment. However, nobody can actually tell you. So if there is an amount you sat on, think of it like a stock and share. Are you happy to take what you've got, invest it elsewhere? And it might go up a bit, it might go down a bit, you don't know, but you just got to be comfortable, I guess, in what you're taking out of the property.
I think you have to draw the line, and you have to make a decision with your family. this is what we want. If we get it, let's do it, because you just go on forever. And like you say, I don't think it will. I'm very, very sure it won't happen. What happened in 2008, but I think you have to draw the line somewhere, make that decision, and move on with whatever you want to do when you sell your property.
Yeah,
you know?
but it's a good question, and like I say, it's one I'm being asked more, not just in work but in social
There's
circles.
no right
as
or
well.
wrong answer. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's true. Just having that plan afterwards is the main thing.
Yeah.
If anyone disagrees with that, by the way, or has any additional comments, then let us know. I'm always interested to hear other people's thoughts on it. Okay, I'll just finish off with the average sale price, and then we'll move on to lettings. So the average sale price in August for us was 3.291 million, which is actually a 13.4% decrease on July. But going off what we're talking about there, not quite the 300%, but a 51.9% increase year on year. So again, easy to see why these conversations are being had. Finance buyers made up 50%, 57% of the market. Cash buyers 43%. So
that's actually high. I think that's probably, Paul, I think it's one of the highest this year that we've had.
Highest, it's more 50-50, usually. But it's interesting seeing it. Again, another indicator of the strength of the market, the mortgage market.
To me point, sorry to interrupt, going back to my point before, you know, if we look at typically our average, what we're seeing here, our average sale is 3.3, and that's obviously covering villas and apartments. That's our average sale. And what I said before, I think it was 1,500 dirhams in terms of your monthly repayments every single month. You flip that and you see how much money that you would have made in the last 2 or 3 years. It's in buttons, you know. That's the thing.
It's very, very true. And to be honest, even 1,500 dirhams, it's not nice, but for a lot of people, especially buying at that level, it's something you can work into your finances. Okay, let's take a look at lettings before we round off. So the average letting price in August was 182,743 dirhams. This is A&A data, which was a 12.8% decrease on July, which seems to be a common pattern, 6.9% increase on August last year. So still increases in the lettings market, slightly less so than on the sales side. In terms of volume, we had a 9.1% increase in July. So we actually did more lets in August, which again, traditionally when families move over, so you would expect that, getting the kids into school and what have you. 31.6% increase year on year. So a really, really strong lettings market.
It just shows as well, Paul, again, going back to the launch appetite, the appetite for actual coming to Dubai. Obviously, a lot of people, when they come to Dubai, they want to transition from lettings to sales. Don't want to rent a property and then they want to buy. But it just shows you the appetite is still there, you know.
Well, to give you another stat, talking about the phenomenal year-on-year demand increase again, a 93% increase in new tenants registering with us this August compared to August 2022.
Do you know what I never touched on before? I want to ask you the question. We looked at, going back to sales, and we'll touch on lettings in a minute. We actually registered more properties as well. I know you mentioned it before, but we didn't touch on it. What are your thoughts on that? That we registered more properties. Obviously, there was more viewings, more buyers that had registered as well, but also more properties. Would you think that because the market is performing the way it is, there'll be less property because we're obviously shouting to the rooftops that we need more properties?
Yeah, do you know what? I think there's a couple of things. I don't think there was that many handovers in August, if I'm being honest, that would have brought supply in that way. I think there's a couple of things. One is definitely people deciding to cash out, for want of a better way of putting it. I think they're of the opinion that I alluded to before of the market's gone up for 2 or 3 years now. They're suddenly sat on a lot of equity and people are choosing that this is the right moment to take some money out and, like I say, do other things. They might want to invest further here, invest overseas, set up a company. There's a whole multitude of reasons, but I think people are just getting to that level. And I think what you find as well is, going back on the lettings market, and July and August, there is a period where lots of tenancies start, but then a lot of tenancies finish in July and August. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's owners that have waited till a property's vacant, because as we all know, a vacant property will get more money in the market. It will sell quicker. It's a lot more attractive. So they've maybe waited till the properties become vacant and then put it on the market.
Do you still think I remember Carl Allsopp being on one of the podcasts, and he was talking about, speculative sellers. Do you still think there's a lot of them where people are just saying, listen, this is what I want. If you get it to me, if you get then I'll sell.
I think we're all kind of one of those, aren't we? But yeah, definitely. Yeah, from talking to the guys in the offices, that is another factor. It does lead to frustrations at times because all of a sudden we do get this speculative price, and then it's almost like the dog who catches the cat. They don't know what to do with it when they've actually caught it. So, but I do think there is a rise of speculative or continued rise of speculative sellers in the market.
I think I'm just looking at the volume, not the volume. I'm looking at the our most notable lettings transactions, and we never touched on the DLD ones before. I think every week or every month now, if you're looking at 200 million, 300 million property sales, we're not balking at it anymore. I'm just looking at these some of these lets that we're doing at the moment. It's like sale prices at times.
Yeah, go on, give us shout a couple out.
So in August, we have a most notable transactions in lettings. We rented a Jumeirah Islands European cluster for 1.2 million dirhams. We also let a Olive Point, which is in Jumeirah Golf Estate, at 700,000 dirhams. I don't know whether anyone's seen a few weeks or a few months back what a Jumeirah Golf Estate's flame tree went for. I've never seen anything like it. I won't say what it was because I'll have all the landlords jumping all over me now to see if we can get the same price, but it was incredible. And then we had an Arabian Ranches, a Sahil, for 550,000 dirhams.
I'm just going to jump in there to do a bit of shameless advertising. If anyone does want to see what the flame tree went for, check out Data Hub on our website. That's the nosy neighbour feature. That is where you can see every transaction, both sells and lets in the market.
I think with Data Hub as well, Paul, we had the lads, I think Lewis and Carl done a podcast, or Lewis done something on Data Hub. I urge every single one of our owners and every one of even agents to go on and have a little nose about it. It's so powerful. The tool is so powerful, and obviously it gives you an up-to-date valuation on what your property is worth in terms of sales and also in terms of renting. But it's such a powerful. I always, because I've been here now for nearly 15 years, it's like when we've got our new starters as well, and I'm saying back in the day we didn't have any of this, but now these guys have got at the fingertips, as well as our buyers and sellers, and also our landlords.
Yep, 100%. Okay, couple of final stats to round out lettings, and then we'll say goodbye for another week. Viewings in August up 4% month on month, up 32% year on year. And again, new listings to the market on the letting side of the business, 23% month on month and 50% year on year. And I actually think quite a bit of these properties coming to the market is as a result of people purchasing properties. So then properties become vacant, space for new tenants to move in. Okay, that's it from us. As always, guys, any questions, anything you want clarity on, anything you think we've missed or anything you disagree with, please let us know. Please like, follow, subscribe in all the usual places, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.